Yo, Benny! I don't think he's home, man. Benny, man, yo. Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm MC Savant from the Kankasaurs. You can catch me on funnyordie.com/Kankasaurs, K-A-N-K-S-O-R-Z, you know what I'm saying? But right now, it's all about Benny TV. Yo, because my boy Benny the Gagoots got his own show. And I just want to give a big shout out to Benny. And in honor of that, I'm going to do a dope-ass freestyle, man. So he's got to figure out what rhymes with Benny. 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 What rhymes with Benny? Benny. What rhymes with Benny? Benny. He's in the Serengeti. He's hunting for a Yeti and he's always on the ready. And Benny's always merry when he's eating his spaghetti. But right now he's in the desert, so his palms are kind of sweaty. His good friend Freddie, he brought him that Ben and Jerry. And Yetis, they love the Ben and Jerry. So Benny caught that Yeti and we all threw confetti. Yeah, Benny. Benny TV, baby.
Yeah, Benny TV, baby. I'm back. Let me, I brought my little friend with me. I'm back 2 weeks. I was away. You were here.
How did I get here?
I don't know. How do you get here? You just appeared.
I don't know. I didn't even know I was here. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know you're here. Anyway, I'm back. Benny TV.
Benny TV.
And tonight,
you're the titular Benny.
The titular, is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Titular.
That doesn't make sense.
Okay, titular.
Titular.
I'm a titular.
You're a titular kind of guy.
I'm a titular kind of guy, yeah.
You're a swell guy.
Thank you very much. And tonight is going to be horror night on Benny TV.
Oh, spooky. We got Cousin Festa here. Uncle Festa.
Uncle Festa.
Man, he might be my cousin. I don't know. We got some weird relatives.
Addams Family, that's a great comedy horror film.
Oh, yeah, that's a great horror movie.
I love that.
It's very scary.
It's kind of...
Well, no, the Addams Family Values, where she takes over the camp and then they're going to kill people, like, that's frightening as a kid.
That's
great.
great.
Like an 8-year-old, you're like, I don't want to go to that camp. Wednesday Addams is going to kill me.
Tonight we're going to talk about a lot of different horror films, some funny, some that are really scary, and we have a treat for our audience.
Ooh, a tasty morsel, if you will.
We have an original short horror film.
Well, it's an original short fan film.
Fan film, okay.
Made here on Long Island from friends of mine, Five Towns College, mostly alumni. I think some of the people involved are still at the school. But it's my friend Jack Braun's short. There's a lot of people involved that I'm friends with that are in it. I'm not going to say everybody's name because I'm going to forget everyone that's involved, but I know we have Reed Rinaldi. John Moret is the lead in this, who's a good friend of mine. They're all good friends. Jack Braun directed it and wrote it. There's a lot of people involved in this that I'm friends with. Sorry if I didn't say your name because I forgot. But it's their short film, Chosen. It's about 8 minutes long. We're going to show the entire film in its entirety in just a moment. So get excited for that. We're going to talk a couple other horror movies. I'm going to talk about some of my favorite horror movies, some that might not be considered strictly horror films. I consider horror comedies horror movies, so
okay,
some of those. We're going to talk about one of my dad's favorite horror movies from of the past 30 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Because there's others that you like more, but we're going to talk about...
yeah, there's some I like newer ones, but...
yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the 1992 Francis Ford Coppola film Dracula, or Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Right.
Starring Gary Oldman as the titular Dracula.
There's that word again.
Yeah, that's that word. It's the word of the day. You know, it's like Pee Wee Herman's going to pop out and be like, it's a secret word, you know.
Or Groucho Marx, for people who may know. Groucho Marx had a TV show.
For those watching in the nursing home this evening, Groucho Marx.
Groucho Marx had a show, You Bet Your Life.
For those born after 1967.
No, before.
No, I was trying to explain who Groucho Marx was.
Okay, yeah, who Groucho Marx is.
He's the guy on the duck with the cigar. Everyone my age has seen the duck with the cigar.
With the cigar.
And the little thing. That's Groucho Marx.
And that's the duck from the TV show, You Bet Your Life.
Oh, he had a duck?
The duck would come down with the magic word.
Oh,
have a magic word.
Full circle. I didn't even know I
So
was
that's how we
walking
got the
into
magic
that.
word. That's how we got
That's how we got the magic word.
Okay.
But yeah, we're going to talk about Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula film, which I never saw until today, and I watched it today in preparation for this. So I'm going to give my review with fresh eyes on the film.
Yeah,
That's 26
right.
years old. I think let's start. Let's go into my friend Short.
Chosen.
We're going to show Chosen.
Okay, and then we'll talk
And then
about
we'll
that.
talk a little bit about it, about the what it's loosely based off of, and a little bit about that. Maybe one day I can get Jack to come on and talk a little bit more about it. He has a lot of great projects that are mostly better than the stuff that I've made.
You've made some good stuff, though.
I have a lot of friends that are more talented than me that I went to school with, and I love all of them very dearly. I'm just good at talking. That's just I just got that pretty face, you know. I look like Danny McBride got into a bar fight. But yeah, we're gonna show.
Not funny.
I can make fun of myself. It's okay.
Okay.
But we're gonna show Chosen right now, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about it for a bit.
Okay, Chosen. You've been chosen.
Hey, hon, how was work?
Same old shit. Got yelled at by my asshole boss today for no reason. Feels like every day's a fucking loop.
Sorry, babe. Is there anything I can do for you?
Nah. I think I'm just gonna go lay down for a bit.
Okay. Sorry. I just want to let you know I'm heading to the gym for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Maybe you should go to bed early tonight.
Okay. I'll see you soon, right?
Okay, love you.
You too.
As the congressional debate over gun control flares up yet again, we regret to report the murder of a wife and her 2 children by their husband and father. The father purchased the rifle used in the crime at his local gun store 2 days earlier. This brutal killing took place while the family was gathered at home on a Sunday afternoon. The day of the crime, the father went to the trunk of his car, retrieved the rifle, and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch. When his 10-year-old son came to investigate the commotion, the father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was just a game. Police arriving on scene after neighbors called 911 found the father in his car listening to the radio. Several days before the murders, neighbors say they heard the father repeating a sequence of numbers in a loud voice. They said it was like he was chanting some strange spell. There was an 204863.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone! Leave me alone!
De är här på vård och de övervakar och ser an. Lita ej på mig. Lita ej på polisen. De är redan kontrollerade av dem. Så har det varit i 75 år nu. Endast vår mästare kan få dem. Du har en rätt. En rätt att bli en av oss. Så välkommen till vår värld. Mycket snart öppnas portarna till en ny dimension. 204863. 204863.
Hey, hon. I'm back.
Your brother cares, okay? He just doesn't want you to go, like...
So when do you care? You never care about anything.
Look, I just don't want you to make the same mistake your mother made, that's all.
Don't try to talk to me about Mom. Mom hasn't been involved in our lives since Kyle was born.
Look, your mother wasn't right. She never grew up.
And who are you to talk? You only exist in this house. That's it. Kyle's more of a dad than you.
And it's okay.
No dad.
Look, fine. Find somebody better than me. Go ahead, go out there, find him. Just don't lie to me, alright? Just don't lie to me. The one thing I can't stand is people lying to me.
You've been chosen.
Two 204863. 204863.
Whoa. 204863.
That's the combination on my luggage.
Oh man, that is a creepy
I know.
short film. That is very creepy. And now it comes out of his clock radio, the news, but then he pulls the plug and it's still coming.
It's still going.
It's still going. So tell me a little bit about this.
Well, from what I do know from it, I know I've had conversations with Jack about it previously when he first posted it online, and then when I was talking to him during the weekend, I was like, if you have any videos, I'd love to show some stuff. And he gave me this, and I rewatched it, and I really like this video. I think it's really well made. Everyone involved should be really proud of it. It's really good. One of my favorite movies that Jack's made. I also really like his senior project, 10 Little Students, which is 10 Little Indians.
10 Little Indians, yeah.
But it's 10 Little Indians, but it's 10 students in a school.
And they get killed off?
Yeah, well, you don't want to spoil it, but yeah.
That's what 10 Little
It's
Indians.
10 Little Indians, yeah.
Okay.
We got a comment from Jack Braun. Damn, that's a good film.
Yeah.
I may have mentioned it was directed by Jack Braun.
Very good film, Jack.
Fun fact, I like to tell people that I'm Jack Braun. That's my joke, and I like if we're ever at a party together, I like to tell people that don't know either of us, I'm Jack Braun. So when he goes up to them and says, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you, I'm Jack Braun," it's like, "Oh, very funny. I already met the real Jack Braun."
Yeah, that's funny.
It's fun. I love Jack.
So this movie is
It's a fan film.
a fan film.
It's a fan film from. So this is going to be. I have to like really explain this to you because you don't know video games or how they work. So there's a very popular video game series called Silent Hill.
Okay.
And they had 2 Silent Hill movies
yeah,
that came
I
out.
know the movie.
And it was
a girl with her mouth was like,
sewn shut, and the
shut.
guy with the big giant metal like it's not exactly a pyramid. I forget exactly what it's called. Like there's that. Well, they also had that in Resident Evil, so it might be. Well, no, I think that's in both. Silent Hill is a very popular horror video game franchise, right up there with Resident Evil. They're the 2 top horror video game franchises. I lean a little more towards Resident Evil than I do Silent Hill. I've only played a couple of the Silent Hill games, but this was a Silent Hill game that they made a playable teaser and they called it PT and they released it online. And this is a fan film, kind of, I think Jack would say, a tribute to the teaser, because this teaser quickly became like an internet phenomenon. It's super popular, and you can still find some videos of it online. The big thing about it was this was supposed to be a game that was a collaboration between Hideo Kojima, the creator of Silent Hill, and Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, okay.
And the lead of the video game was going to be Norman Reedus.
Okay, who
from
is
Daryl and Walking Dead,
Daryl
and also from the Boondock Saints franchise. And he was, this was all going to happen, and some things happened behind the scenes, and I believe Hideo Kojima left where he was, which was, that was a very big thing, and that changed a big scope of video games. That was a very big thing that happened a few years ago, and he's getting on his feet, releasing his own game now with Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro. But that Silent Hill game was never made, and it was going to be called Silent Hills. But PT was very popular, but they got rid of it. You can't find it. Someone, I think, made a fan-made version of recreated it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really great tribute to PT and Silent Hills. But PT is very interesting because it kind of got a second life as a completely different game, which is collaborated a little bit with Hideo Kojima and Del Toro, and Norman Reedus is still the main character. And that's a game called Death Stranding, which comes out next year. And these are very like Asian influence horror style.
Okay,
and
yeah.
They're very good. And I think Jack and everybody involved. I saw RK's name, Robert Keith Taman, or I want to say Toman, but I know that's not right, so I believe it's Taman. I also might be still saying it wrong. And then Reed Rinaldi worked on it. Matt Whalen. There was one of the Kyles. John Moret, of course, is the main character. John is a great filmmaker and a great actor. He's done a lot of different projects in Five Towns, and he was the lead of Little Shop of Horror.
Oh, yeah?
At one point, yeah. That was actually before me and him really became friends. So I was like, oh, yeah, that was you. But I love everybody involved, and of course, Jack. And I'm happy that I got a chance to show that.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I'd like to show more films from Five Towns.
That would be great. More short films.
I've been debating kind of one of my friend Kyle, who was on the show, Kyle Nover. He wants to kind of like edit up my senior project and redo it.
Why not?
So I might let him do that. I'm working on making newer content, and that's the stuff that I've been working on. But if anybody that I know, anybody Five Towns people or otherwise, have any videos they want to show on here, just let me know.
We'd love to show them.
Yeah, we would love to show them. This worked out perfectly because of Halloween and everything, and it's a really good short, and I'm really happy we had a chance to show it.
It's very creepy. It really is.
It's a spooky short.
It is.
It's unsettling. That's what I like in something in horror. You know, I like something that's unsettling, that like kind of crawls under your skin a little.
Yeah, no, I liked it. It was.
So that's something I really, I really like that. I like when something like really like messes with you. So that goes really good into other horror movies. We'll start talking about other horror movies. Like I said, for a horror movie, I like something that's creepy and unsettling and it's gonna really, mess with me, really F me up. mentally.
Right.
Or I want something I'm gonna have a fun time with. So my favorite horror movies are a mixture of that. I wrote down a couple of them. I wrote down like a whole list of my favorite horror movies. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's 20 of them. But it's a long list. It goes from like Blade to The Omen to Creepshow, which is an awesome horror anthology movie.
Yes,
made by George Romero and Stephen King.
And Stephen King. It's a
that's a brilliant fun movie.
Because that's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. It has a little bit of everything. It has straight up horror. It has comedy horror. It has comedy. Has Leslie Nielsen as a sinister villain, and he's great.
Ted Danson.
Ted Danson's in that one as well. Stephen King acts in a film in one of the shorts. That's pretty much a one-man show.
Yeah.
I think there might be one other character in that show, but I think it's just him.
You see the doctor in one point,
but it's mostly just him.
It's mostly him.
That is Ed Harris is in one of them.
Is Ed Harris?
He's in the third one where the people come back from the dead.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the people in the house.
Yeah.
I'm like 90% sure. And then we have also, I love The Conjuring. Both Conjuring movies. I think those are some of the best Exorcist movies. I personally am not the biggest fan of The Exorcist. I watched it in school, and it never really pulled me in.
It didn't scare you?
No, not really. I like the final scene. Like, the whole Exorcist scene is a really cool scene, but I feel like the rest of the movie isn't as great as they make it up to be. Maybe it's a combination of it being built up for so many years by people, of you and Mom telling me people were passing out in the theater, people were throwing up in the theater, they were freaking out.
People were freaking out. They
People
were crying.
freaking out,
People
crying, all that. So, like, I think watching it years later, it didn't have that same effect. One movie that I do really like that is from a similar time period, around the same time, was The Omen.
Yes.
Personally, I think The Omen's a better made movie and it's a better acted movie, and I liked it a lot more.
I enjoy The Omen too. That's also on my list. The Exorcist is on my list, and it scared the heck out of me. It really did.
Yeah.
But The Omen, there was something at the time when it was made. There's something that's old-fashioned about it.
Okay.
With the lighting and stuff.
Yeah, well, it does have some really great techniques.
Yeah, some great. And then there was some stuff that was like state-of-the-art, because they came out with that idea that the photographer, which is brilliant in it, the photographer takes pictures, and so the people that are going on next on the list, there you see something. You see like a shadow or something wrong with that he thought was wrong with the film.
Yeah.
And then you find out that when something happens to these people, it was what that shadow was an indication of.
Indication of that.
Because just one spoiler alert if you never saw it. In the beginning, his nanny hangs herself.
Yeah, and that's all for you.
Yeah, this is for you, Damien.
This is for you.
So when the photographer is taking pictures of her, he sees like a blotch like behind her head, and that is the rope.
That's the rope.
But he doesn't know that, and I think that's great. The dogs that they have that protect Damien.
Yeah. Those are really good too.
And that graveyard scene is like a combination of old-fashioned horror with new relevant to the times horror, because that whole graveyard scene and the dogs come after.
Oh, it's a great scene.
It's a great. So I agree.
I saw Omen in school also. I saw both of those films in school, and I don't know, just The Omen resonated with me more. Maybe I like Richard Donner more as a filmmaker than I do William Friedkin. I love The Goonies, one of my favorite movies. I loved the first Superman movie as a kid. Doesn't hold up as much now, but it's still a good movie. Lethal Weapon is amazing. I love all the Lethal Weapon movies. He worked on all of those.
Yeah, Donner worked on all of those.
Richard Donner directed all of those. I like parts of The French Connection. We were talking about that when it comes to William Friedkin.
Well, William Friedkin, right. Yeah, there's some, the same thing. I know this is off track, but I'm not a big fan of The French Connection either. And at that same year, Dirty Harry came out.
And Dirty Harry is a much better.
And I thought Dirty Harry was a much better film. It's a better script too. John Milius. I didn't know. I'm a big fan of John Milius, and there were some movies I had seen that I didn't know that he wrote the script for those. Mm-hmm. That he wrote the screenplay for.
Yeah.
and there were.
But what he didn't write the script for was a horror movie.
Was horror,
which is what we're still talking about.
Except one film that was considered horror, that Harlan Ellison said that this was the scariest.
Okay,
movie.
you got to always talk about Apocalypse Now. You can't go. You can't go 7 minutes without talking about
Apocalypse Now is a scary movie.
Yeah,
it's
but it's
a
not
war
a
movie.
horror movie.
It's not a horror movie, but
So, Jack Braun put in favorite horror film is The Thing, the 1982 Thing.
The John
Carpenter's The Thing, which is also on my list. That's one of my favorite
And I would
horror
put
movies.
that on my
that's
list.
That's a brilliant movie. The makeup, the things they were able to do with the effects, that most of them still hold up. I feel like.
yeah.
The acting, Kurt Russell, of course, is awesome in that movie. Just the way the film is set up. Even, I know everyone, some of these movies have gotten remakes, some haven't.
Right.
I like the way they did the remake of The Thing, since The Thing was a remake in itself. Spoilers for the Thing film that came out in 2011. It's actually not a remake. It's a prequel, and it ends with the opening of the 1982 The Thing. And I thought that was a really interesting
It was
thing to
interesting,
do. That was
yeah.
Instead of just remaking The Thing, you decided, let's just make a continuation, but show how they got to that point. I like that. I think that's cool.
The Thing is a scary movie.
Oh, it's a very scary movie. Also on my list, other than The Thing, I have Stephen King. I have Misery.
Okay.
Which
yeah.
is a different kind of horror movie, but that is a horror movie and that's very unsettling. I think that's, as a kid, that scared the hell out of me. And it's just James Caan alone in a house with Kathy Bates.
But it is a horror movie.
No, it's 100% a horror movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's Big Stugatz.
Hey, it's Uncle Stugatz.
Yo,
How
Uncle
you doing?
Stugatz, come in here.
Yeah,
Just
come in
wave
so
to
they
the
can
camera.
see you. Just
so
wave
they
to
can
the
see
camera.
you. Hey, Paisan.
Mario Fangul.
Yeah.
All right, hey,
Captain
we'll see you
Tucci.
later. Captain Chucci?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
But other horror movies, Misery, I love Misery.
Right.
James Caan gives an amazing performance. Kathy Bates gives the performance of her career.
And she won an Academy Award for that.
Some people will argue that her performance in Dolores Claiborne is better than her performance in Misery.
It's an excellent... Kathy Bates is one of those actors that gives her all in every film she's in. So even in Waterboy.
Oh, she's amazing in The Waterboy.
Right, so she's amazing.
She's brilliant in The Waterboy.
But as someone that could scare you, Misery takes a cake. So Misery with a friend of mine, with a lady friend of mine.
Ooh, a lady friend.
Lady friend. We were holding each other tightly. We were like, and Kathy Bates is so great because in the beginning she's like, I'm here to help you and everything.
Yeah, and then how she turns and
then later on, what's the matter, Annie? And she's like, the rain makes me depressed. And she has a gun. I think I'm going to put bullets in it. And you're like, whoa.
And I love the whole idea that it's like Stephen King showing like what it would be like to be stuck with one of his fans.
Right, yes.
That's kind of like what it's supposed to be, is like that's James Caan supposed to be Stephen King, and what it would be like to be stuck with a Stephen King fan that was like, I didn't like what you did at the end of The Shining.
And there are, I had seen writers who spoke about, they have dealt with fans like that. So that probably is what inspired Stephen King.
There's a lot of, not horror movies, but thrillers that have that sort of thing. There was that, it's not a good movie, but that film The Fan with Wesley Snipes and Robert De Niro, where he's like an obsessive fan of Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Who's a baseball player for, I believe, the Giants in that movie. And that's not really a great movie, but it's a really cool look into people that are obsessed over that sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
And I like that. Another horror movie, this isn't on my list, but a psychological horror film is 1 Hour Photo. With Robin Williams, which is an amazing performance from Robin Williams, and shows this guy who develops photos and how he kind of like, he's a little off, and he kind of like puts himself into the lives of the family, and he kind of tries to interject, and I really like that movie. That's one of his non-comedy films that I really resonated with me. There's
a horror film with Clint Eastwood called Play Misty for Me.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Blood Work.
No.
I've seen Blood Work.
Play Misty for Me, he's a DJ. Ooh. And there's a
Wait a minute.
late night DJ.
Clint Eastwood is a DJ.
Is a DJ.
You lost me.
On the radio.
Oh, okay. I thought yeah, I'm a DJ. I'm like,
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood's a DJ. Radio. Okay, that makes sense. Like a radio
Go ahead,
DJ.
Make my
Okay.
day. Make my day.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me.
No, anyway, he's a radio DJ late at night, and this woman always calls and wants to hear the song Misty.
Oh,
And she's
okay,
like,
and play Misty.
play
I
Misty
get
for me.
it. I get
And
it.
she's obsessed with him, and she's scary and has knives and stuff. So,
I like that sort of stuff. I
so
like that.
that's a movie. It just reminded me. It's not on my list either, but I'd like to see that again because that is one of those creepy. Like some great horror movies are the ones where the killer is in the house.
Oh yeah.
Those scare the heck out of
Like
me.
When a Stranger Calls.
When a Stranger Calls. There was another one we were watching with Audrey Hepburn where she's blind. And she's in the house blind, and the guy is in there. And
There's
she
a
has to
great
fight.
one that came out recently that's on Netflix called Mute, and it's
Right.
about I think it's Mute, right? She's like a deaf woman who's mute and she can't talk, and there's someone outside the house, but they can't, and that's a good
That
one.
kind of story has been around since like the beginning of film. And
My
with horror.
favorite horror movie has a lot of things from that. Let me just glance
Yeah.
over a few others really quickly. Predator, the first Predator, the Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Okay.
John McTiernan Predator. As a kid, loved that movie. It still holds up. I talked about it on the show about a month ago. I reviewed all the Predator movies.
Right.
It's, there's some of it that doesn't hold up, but a lot of it does. And it's very macho, but it's a good play on the machismo of the 80s. And kind of strips it all away to the point that Arnold Schwarzenegger has nothing and he's fighting this. The idea of the Predator is so great. That's what upsets me when they bungle it so much in the other movies. And then the new It that came out last year is one of my
Okay.
favorite
I
horror
haven't
movies.
seen it because I'm afraid to see
I've
it.
seen it over like a dozen times already. It was only a year old. I've watched it a dozen times on HBO a lot too, so I'll always throw it on. I just everything Andy Muschietti does in that film, the way he sets up everything, the way Pennywise looks, his acting, everything it's built upon the fears that you had as a kid watching the miniseries with Tim Curry, which isn't really scary to me anymore. But there's parts of it that are. But I saw it in a theater the night it came out, the new It, IMAX with friends, and it was an amazing experience. The crowd was getting scared together, and you'd laugh at the right parts, and you'd all laugh after how scared you got. And that's one of the great things about going to a movie with a packed crowd. I saw Halloween a week ago, and I lost my voice, and I talked about it last week about how I lost my voice because 20 minutes in, the fire alarm went off, and I got escorted out. Everybody had to leave, and I cut a promo in the theater. But that was a pretty packed theater, so that was a fun experience. I like going with a packed crowd that's into the movie, especially a horror movie.
A horror movie is really made to be seen in the theater. Mm-hmm. They are. That gives you, when you're in the theater,
Even
and it's
bad
dark,
horror movies. Like I saw the
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity movies in theater, and those aren't good movies. Those are bad movies. I remember you got mad because we went to see that in theaters, and you were like, "People were." You weren't mad at me. You were mad at the movie.
I was mad at the
People
movie.
talk this up as the best horror movie of the
Yeah.
past 20 years.
And they still do.
I know, and it's not.
I think it's terrible. I didn't see anything scary about
I
it.
liked the third Paranormal Activity because I thought they did interesting things
Right.
with the scares, but all the other ones are not good. But when you see it in a packed theater, it's more fun.
My friends and I used to go see, even if it was a bad horror film, we would go to see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you'd have fun. There was Funhouse was one of them. That Funhouse, nobody gets killed in the first 20 minutes, but you're jumping up and down because
That's
it's
fun.
made to do, yeah. So that kind of stuff is fun. Now, for me, one of my scariest movies is the original Night of the Living Dead.
Okay.
In
yeah.
black and white, but it's gory.
That movie still holds up, though. It's still.
And Dawn of the Dead.
And Dawn of the Dead, the first Dawn of the Dead.
And the two flies, the original fly
And
the Jeff Goldblum fly.
the Jeff Goldblum fly.
The Jeff Goldblum fly is really...
That's Cronenberg, right?
That's David Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg. That's where Cronenbergian horror is now like a term. And it's derived from that movie because the body horror. That's Cronenbergian body horror became a subgenre due to the thing. And that and American Werewolf in London in the 80s, I believe, are
Yeah.
the big things of what made body horror. as big and as popular as it is to this day. Just the whole transformation with your body, and you have no control of it, and seeing the way that your body changes. And
The Howling is another one of mine.
yeah, you love The
I
Howling.
love
know
The
that.
Howling, and I saw that in the theater, and that's great. And that's one of those body where they start transforming. So now, tell me more about your list.
Well, one of the big ones on my list is a horror movie, but you might not consider it a horror movie. It's Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is definitely in my top 5. It's not only an amazing comedy, it's a great zombie movie.
Right.
And a great parody of zombie movies. And one of my favorite movies is I love Shaun of the Dead. Just some of the jokes are so great when they first find the zombies and they're throwing records at them and they're like, wait, no, this is a good record. Don't throw that one. Or when they're in the house and they're like, they're still a little hungover and the thing's outside and they're going ba 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 ba.
Yeah, they're doing
that
this
night when before they wake up. That was that night and the thing's going. Argh! That's so much fun. And the running gag of he has a pen where red ink was coming out, and they you got red on you. And then later with the zombies, he has blood on him, and they're like, you got red on you.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of fun. I love that movie.
Those guys are good anyway.
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. It's Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's brilliant.
Yeah, no, they're very good.
Also on my list, I only have a couple left. Is Army of Darkness.
All right.
That's also the Evil Dead movies are the horror movies.
The original Evil Dead, the first one, is scary as heck.
Well, I think Evil Dead 2 is pretty scary too. You know, when he chops off his hand and everything. And Evil Dead 2 is kind of a remake of Evil Dead 1 with a better budget. It's pretty much what it is. But I love Army of Darkness because it opened up this whole franchise that we got Ash vs. Evil Dead, which if you haven't seen is great. It's on Netflix now. It was on Starz for 3 seasons. It got canceled, unfortunately. But it's one of the best horror comedies you'll ever watch. And Army of Darkness is a brilliant movie. Army of Darkness has some really scary stuff. When the other Ash is growing out of him, that's some really freaky body horror. And there's a lot of stuff like that, and just the whole concept of him with the chainsaw on his hand, everything's just great. I love Army of Darkness. Bruce Campbell's one of my favorite actors. He does a lot of good horror comedies. Bubba Hotep is another great one where he's Elvis in a nursing home.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody believes he's Elvis.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
And a mummy comes into the nursing home, and it's him and his friend, who's this black guy who says that he's JFK, and they kidnapped him and turned him black, and he's stuck in the nursing home, but he's JFK, nobody believes him. And they got to fight this mummy. It's called Bubba Hotep. They're actually making a comic that's Army of Darkness crossover with Bubba Hotep, so Ash will meet Elvis. Which is great.
That's cool. That's cool.
And then my 3, I'll do my top 3 real quick, and then I want to talk about Dracula.
Okay.
So my number 3 favorite horror film of all time is Jaws. Fight me. Jaws is a horror movie. Jaws is an amazing film.
It is. It's a horror, and it still scares me.
Still makes you not want to go in the water.
Right.
I'm still skeptical going in the water. I'll watch that tomorrow. I'm going to be like, I don't know if I want to go in the water.
Okay.
I don't even want to go in the pool. My number 2 favorite horror movie came out last year. It's the only film that I walked out of seeing and I was like shook. I was shook. I came home and I sat down and I just looked at a wall for like 10 minutes. I was shook. It messed with me mentally. It's a fun ride. I watch it all the time. The way the film crescendos is brilliant, and that's Get Out. Jordan Peele's horror film.
I'll agree with that.
Get Out.
I will say that that's a very scary.
It was amazing. It has some amazing performances from Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener. I didn't know who Daniel Kaluuya was before that, and now I'll watch anything with Daniel Kaluuya in it because I think he's a brilliant actor. Allison Williams. I almost called her Amanda Peet, but I'm like, that's not Amanda Peet.
No.
Allison Williams, Brian Williams' daughter, is brilliant in that
She's
film as
great
well.
in it, yes.
And Lil Rel Howery, the stand-up comedian, is my favorite character as Daniel Kaluuya's best friend. And if you haven't seen Get Out, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life. Go see Get Out. That's the only
I
comment
agree. Go
curse.
see Get Out.
Watch Get Out. That movie's amazing.
Get Out. Okay.
It's so good. I could spend an hour talking about that. And then my favorite horror movie of all time, and it's my favorite horror franchise of all time, is Scream. Is Wes Craven's Scream. I think Wes Craven's Scream, I love slasher movies, and that's the greatest slasher movie ever made. in my opinion, because it takes all the great things from other slasher movies that you love that are terrible, and it brings it on its head, and it makes fun of horror movies, but also plays into the tropes of horror movies. And it's Wes Craven at his best because it's him making fun of the genre that he did. And the funny thing is, Wes Craven never really wanted to do horror. So I think that was his way of kind of expressing that. He always wanted to do. That's why he did the movie Music of the Heart with Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
He wanted to be more than just I think he liked doing horror, but he wanted to do more than just horror.
But he did,
and he kind of got thrown into the niche of being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, horror filmmaker of all time.
The Nightmare on Elm Street.
The Nightmare on Elm Street films is Wes Craven as well. And I have a friend who's obsessed with them, my friend Andrew. He loves them. He could wax poetic about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I've only seen a couple of them a couple of times. The best ones. I've seen like 1 and 3 and New Nightmare. I haven't seen all of them. Now that I said that, he's probably going to make me watch all of them now. Freddy Krueger's a scary guy, but Ghostface, brilliant. You can't touch Ghostface. But yeah, let's talk Dracula.
Okay, let me just say, last night I watched a movie. It's an old movie, but I like it. It's creepy. You can laugh at it now, but it's still scary with the subject matter. Island of the Lost Souls.
Oh.
Which is the best adaptation of the Island of Dr. Moreau. It's even better than the book. Okay, I read the book. This is better. And it's about a man that turns animals into beings, into people. Okay? I can't even say humans. He would turn them into people. And it's still creepy. It still holds up.
Much better than the Marlon Brando Val Kilmer.
Much better. Better than the Burt Lancaster one. This one is Charles Lawton as Dr. Moreau. And the main animal turned into person is Bela Lugosi. Plays like the lawgiver or whatever he's called. So it was on last night, and it still holds up.
So speaking of Bela Lugosi,
he's
most famous for playing Dracula. And while we're not going to be talking about one of his Draculas, we will be talking about Francis Ford Coppola's 1992 Bram Stoker's Dracula, Love Never Dies. I actually specifically remember this poster because I think you had the DVD when I was a kid,
right?
And this was the cover,
yes,
of it. And then we have another photo of your favorite character.
My favorite character in it
is Tom Waits as Renfield. He's really good in the movie.
He is. He's very good in the movie. He's one of the highlights. To me, some of the highlights are the actors and the characters that they portray. And the costume design is really good, too.
Yeah. I'll let you talk about it for a minute, and then I'll give my review, because this is a film you've always talked about to me as a kid. And now I finally watched it, so.
And out of Dracula movies and, vampire movies, it's one of my favorite.
No, I would agree. I would agree.
I do. I like it. I like the way they do have Vlad the Impaler, because Vlad the Impaler and Elizabeth Bathory was she was a woman who lived in a castle, and she would torture women and Vlad the Impaler would impale people. They were the inspiration for Dracula.
Yeah.
For the character Dracula. So Coppola incorporates Vlad the Impaler in the beginning, and then he goes into the story of Dracula and how he became the undead. And it has all the elements from the book, the three brides, and Keanu Reeves is. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot to follow, and what I enjoy about the movie too is back then when you read a book written during that time period, a lot of it was letters. There were letters. Because they didn't really. They were just developing how a novel works with the characters and the narrative. Mm-hmm. So they would do letters because letter writing was very popular at the time.
Yeah.
So what I love about this movie, there is correspondence throughout the movie.
Yeah, that was an interesting set piece.
The correspondence and the special effects. When Coppola approached and let people know what he wanted to do, he hired a special effects team and told them he did not want to do the CGI. He wanted to do more of the old-fashioned effects that were done, like a movie screen behind you, and you're acting with something else going on, and this crew that he hired, told him that it could not be done. His effects, so he fired them, and got his son Roman Coppola to do the effects. So in the beginning there was a war, and you see a battle with that battle is shadow puppets.
Yeah,
and it was one of the rare Coppola movies where it was under budget. It only cost $40 million to make.
That's very rare for Francis Ford Coppola. If you know anything about Francis Ford Coppola,
and on time, he wanted the movie to be done on time and with on a low budget. So at that time, $40 million was a low budget. It turned out to be the top 10. It was the number 10 grossing film of that year.
And it's the only, I read this, it's the only Dracula film to win an Academy Award.
Oh, okay.
It won for Best Sound Editing, for Best Makeup, and Best Costume.
And Best Costume, yes.
Which all three across the board are some of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah. But I really enjoy it, and I can watch it I own it on Blu-ray now.
Yes, you do, and that's how I watched it, in the comfort of my own home. So I watched it today.
Yes.
And I don't think I feel the same way you do about the movie. You have a very special fondness of the movie. I liked it. Right. I would right out the battle say I gave it a 7 out of 10. So I did like the movie. I didn't dislike the Dracula film. There's parts of it that I think hit really well, and there's parts that I feel like are very strong misses. Most of the costumes are very good. There's one specific nightgown that Winona Ryder's character's friend Lucy wears when she's being entranced by Gary Oldman's Dracula. That looked like, I'm like, that's a nightgown from like 91. Like, they would have shown that on Friends. Like, Rachel would have been wearing that on Friends. Like, so like, other than that, I thought the costumes were amazing. The makeup is fantastic. The special effects are actually still really hold up, and I think that was a testament to him wanting to do the practical effects, that they still hold up 26 years later. I think all the effects hold up really well. The practical effects when he becomes the big monster at the end, that holds up really well. When he's the werewolf, it looks really good. Some of my problems with the movie are just like minor issues that I think are just my perception of vampires and Dracula, even though this, I think, is pretty true to the original stories of Dracula. I don't like the whole thing of Dracula also being able to turn into a wolf and be a wolf man, because that's the wolf man. That's not Dracula to me.
But he's not a wolf man. He's an actual. Oh, in this one, yeah, he's
kind of a wolf man, like.
Right.
And well, yeah, no, I know he turns into a wolf in the book, but in this he is like kind of a wolf man.
Right.
And I don't like the whole idea in this film, Gary Oldman's Dracula. When it's daylight, he's his younger self, but at nighttime, he's his true form. And that was a little weird to me, and he can go out in the daylight, and I get that that's Dracula can go out in the daylight because he's Dracula.
Yes.
He's the original, so he can go out in the daylight. But I thought it should be reversed. In the daylight, he should be his ugly self, and then at night, he should be his true self, because that's when he prospers, should be at night. So that was a little weird thing to me. Gary Oldman's performance is amazing.
Is amazing.
It definitely is the best part of the movie. Anthony Hopkins, I feel like, jumps from really good to really hokey in certain spots. He's overall good. Anthony Hopkins is Van Helsing. I think Winona Ryder's very good as the female lead. Keanu Reeves, everyone always picked out that Keanu Reeves had the worst performance, and he's like laughably bad. I don't think he's as bad. He's not great. I think it's a known fact that Keanu Reeves wasn't the best actor, and he's gotten better as time has gone on.
Yeah.
I think with each film he had gotten better as an actor. He wasn't the best actor. You know, he's not the best actor in Point Break. That's not why you like Point Break.
Right.
You know, he's good for Neo, but he gets a little hokey towards the second and third film. But in the first Matrix, he's very good. But I wouldn't particularly say his performance stands out as being really bad.
No, and I don't feel it's a bad. I actually thought he was good as Jonathan Harker, and Francis Coppola said for that part, because it wasn't really a meaty part. It wasn't really, so he wanted a teen idol. He wanted the type of person that he said, if him and the entire cast went to the airport, the girls would be running to Keanu Reeves. And that's what he wanted.
And that's true, because at the time, that's what Keanu Reeves was.
And I thought he was fine for what he was meant to do.
But I mean, so was Winona Ryder was a teen heartthrob at the same time, because Beetlejuice was already released and Heathers, and she already had a following.
Some people, what they're saying too is that Keanu Reeves couldn't hold a candle up to the other actors up to
I will agree with that.
Gary Oldman, but Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins would upstage their performance, kind of upstage everyone else.
And
so
then
it
Carrie
didn't
Elwes
matter.
is in it, and Carrie Elwes gives a very Carrie Elwes performance. And I really like Carrie Elwes, but it's a very Carrie Elwes performance. Like, you could take his character from Princess Bride and his character of Robin Hood, and you can throw him in. It's the exact same performance.
But Renfield is one of my
Tom Waits'
favorites.
Renfield is very
Tom
good.
Waits eating
He's
bugs.
very good
and-
eating bugs, completely insane.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was going to be completely unhinged.
Right.
At this point, he's already unhinged.
Well, because that character Renfield in the Bela Lugosi film, same way. He's like that. The little things. I like the bugs. But Tom Waits is amazing in it, and you have to see it on Blu-ray, because if you ever watch it on regular TV, they cut that out. For some reason, they cut out him eating bugs and stuff.
Oh, I like that. That was cool.
Yeah. Anyway, we're running out of time.
We're running out of time. I'm going to run off.
You're going to run off?
You have something you want to talk
I
about?
want to talk about the fundraiser.
You want to talk about the fundraiser
yeah.
that I spoke about last week that was canceled postponed due to the rain.
Right.
So you talk about that. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you guys next week. We're going to talk about stuff. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah,
my dad's going to continue. He's going to close out the show.
All right. Bye. Bye, man.
All right, we can cut. Danny, you can go to the flyer now.
Okay. I want to talk about the TKO Strong Foundation fundraiser at Platte Douche in Nassau County. It's going to be not this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after that, November 10th, and it is for our little buddy, my great nephew, Ryan's nephew, Thomas Kevin Honorato, TKO, and he has a rare disease that there is not a cure for. It is called microvillus inclusion disease. So, Thomas, we're trying to get a cure. There are other children that have this microvillus inclusion disease, not just Thomas, and his mom and dad, my beautiful niece and my nephew-in-law are. They've been working very hard for years now to get money not only for the medication and the treatment for Thomas, but to help other children who have this and help them with their treatments, and in hopes of a cure. So we really love it if you can come to the TKO Strong Foundation fundraiser. November 10th, it'll be from 2 to, I believe it's 2 to 7 p.m. So 2 p.m. to 7, it's great. Perfect time. It's beautiful. There's going to be entertainment. There are great raffles. There's sports memorabilia like crazy, auctions on amazing sports memorabilia. It's going to be a fun time. I go every year. I'll be there again, and we'll be talking about it again next week. I hope you enjoyed our Benny TV show tonight, our horror extravaganza, and the short film we saw today, The Chosen. Thank you all. Have a great week. See you next week. Take care, everyone.